He had done this 1,000 times before. Walk into the cluttered control room at the Ohio State University Radio Observatory, pick up the green and white tractor feed printout from the night before, scan the columns of numbers, find nothing. But this time was different. Astronomer Jerry Ehman, a volunteer at the Big Ear Telescope, ran his finger across the printout, reading the intensity values, column after column of background noise. Then a sequence he had never seen, a spike so extreme that the computer had used a letter code instead of a number. He stopped breathing. What Ehman had found was a signal from deep space so powerful and so unusual that it would become the most famous candidate for extraterrestrial intelligence in history. The date was August 15, 1977. The time, 11:16 p.m. The telescope, Big Ear. The signal, the wow. The Big Ear telescope was unusual. Instead of a dish that moved, it used a fixed parabolic reflector and a flat tiltable mirror. The Earth's rotation swept the telescope across the sky in a drift scan. A point in space passed through its view for exactly 72 seconds. That 72-second window would become crucial. Since 1973, Big Ear had been dedicated to the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, SETI. The idea was simple. An advanced civilization might broadcast a signal at 1420 MHz, the frequency of neutral hydrogen, the most common element in the universe. Any intelligent species would know that frequency. Big Ear was listening. On the night of August 15, 1977, the Big Ear telescope was pointed toward the constellation Sagittarius. At 11:16 p.m., a beam of radio waves from deep space entered the receiver. It was not random noise. It was a narrowband signal at exactly 1420 MHz, and it was enormous. The signal's intensity was the key. The telescope measured signal strength on a scale from 0 to 35. Background noise sat at level 1 or 2. The wow signal hit level 6, but not just 6. The computer used letters for values above 9. The readout showed 6 EQUJ5. The E meant a value of 14. The Q meant 26. The U meant 30. The 1420 MHz frequency was the giveaway. This is the hydrogen line, the natural radio frequency emitted by neutral hydrogen, the most abundant element in the universe. In 1959, physicists Philip Morrison and Giuseppe Cocconi had argued that any intelligent civilization would broadcast at this exact frequency. The wow signal did exactly that. But there was a problem. Big Ear used 2 feed horns to scan the sky. A signal from space should have appeared first in one horn, then 3 minutes later in the second as the Earth rotated. The wow signal appeared in the first horn. It never appeared in the second. It was not where it should have been. It was as if it had vanished. Days later, Ehman sat in the control room reviewing the printouts. He was not expecting anything. The telescope had been running for years. But when he reached the data from August 15, he stopped. The numbers were wrong. They were too high. He checked the column headings. He checked the calibration. Then he circled it and wrote 3 letters in red ink. This is the image that became famous. The original Big Ear printout, preserved by the Ohio History Connection. The sequence 6EQUJ5, the red circle, and the words "wow" written in Jerry Ehman's handwriting. He dated it August 17, 1977, 2 days after the signal arrived. It was the first time anyone knew the signal had existed. When asked later why he wrote "wow," Ehman said, "I was impressed by how close the signal resembled the expected signature of an extraterrestrial signal. I circled it and wrote, 'wow,' which is just a little expression of amazement. He was amazed. He was also deeply cautious. He never claimed it was aliens." The next day, Ehman and his team turned Big Ear back toward the patch of sky where the signal had come from. They scanned the coordinates again. Nothing. They scanned the following night. Nothing. The night after that? Nothing. They adjusted the frequency. Nothing. They scanned every part of Sagittarius. Nothing. The signal was gone. Ehman searched for months. Other astronomers joined the search. Robert Gray searched in 1987 and 1989 using the META array. The SETI League searched in 1995. Gray searched again in 1996 using the Very Large Array, the most sensitive radio telescope network in the world. The result was always the same. Nothing. In 1999, Gray and Simon Ellingson used the 26-meter radio telescope at the University of Tasmania. Same result. The signal had vanished so completely that it might as well have never existed, but it had existed. The printout proved it. 30 times above background noise, at the hydrogen line, from the direction of Sagittarius, a perfect candidate that never returned. Ehman was asked decades later whether he thought the signal was extraterrestrial. He said, "I don't know. It could have been a natural phenomenon that we simply don't understand. It could have been something else. But the fact that it matched the hydrogen line and was so intense, that is why the question will not go away." Over the years, 3 categories of explanation emerged. First, terrestrial interference. Something on Earth generated the signal. A military satellite, an aircraft transmitter, a ground-based radar. The problem, the 1420 MHz band is internationally protected. No emissions are allowed, and the signal appeared to come from space, not from Earth. Second, a natural astrophysical phenomenon. A star flare, a pulsar, a magnetar, a hyperdense neutron star with a magnetic field 1 trillion times stronger than Earth's. In 2024, researchers at the University of Puerto Rico at Arecibo proposed that a magnetar flare striking a cold hydrogen cloud could have created a maser, a microwave laser in space. The 2024 Arecibo WOW project, led by astronomer Abel Mendez, found several weaker signals in archived Arecibo data that resembled the WOW signal. They came from hydrogen clouds triggered by transient events. The theory was published in August 2024, but even Mendez admits the original WOW signal was 100 times stronger than anything Arecibo found. Third, an alien transmission, the one possibility that cannot be confirmed but cannot be ruled out. The signal had all the characteristics SETI scientists had predicted for an intelligent signal: the hydrogen line frequency, the narrow bandwidth, the intensity. Only one thing was missing: a repeat. Without a repeat, the case remains open. In 2017, a Florida professor named Antonio Perez claimed the "wow" signal was caused by a hydrogen cloud surrounding a comet. The theory made headlines. It was also quickly refuted. The comets were not in the right position. They do not emit strongly at 1420 MHz, and the signal appeared in only one of Big Ear's two horns, something a comet could not explain. In August 2025, a major reanalysis of the "wow" signal was published. The study corrected errors in the original data and found the signal was even stronger than initially reported. It also found no evidence of terrestrial interference, suggesting the signal was cosmic. The leading hypothesis: a maser flare in an interstellar hydrogen cloud. The signal came from a specific point in space near Chi Sagittarii, a star in the constellation Sagittarius. This region is near the plane of the Milky Way, where the density of stars is highest. Thousands of star systems lie in the direction the telescope was pointed. Any one of them could have been the source. In 2020, astronomer Alberto Caballero identified a sun-like star in the exact region where the signal originated. Catalogued as 2-mass 19,281,982 2,640,123, it is nearly identical to our sun at 1,800 light-years away. In 2022, Breakthrough Listen aimed the Green Bank and Allen telescopes at that star, listening for any hint of a repeat. They found nothing. The "wow" signal changed SETI forever. Before 1977, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence was theoretical. After the "wow" signal, it became urgent. The signal proved that something out there was broadcasting at exactly the frequency we were listening to. Whatever it was, it validated the search. It made the question real. Today, the James Webb Space Telescope peers into the atmospheres of distant exoplanets. The Allen Telescope Array in California listens 24 hours a day. The Breakthrough Listen initiative scans 1 million stars. But the question is the same one Ehman asked in 1977. Is anyone out there? We have more tools than ever. We still don't have an answer. Jerry Ehman carried the question with him, always careful never to claim more than the data supported. The Big Ear telescope was dismantled in 1998, the field where it stood now a golf course. The original printout sits in an archive at the Ohio History Connection. The red ink faded but still visible. The signal has not returned, but the search has not stopped. How? Signal is still out there. The coordinates are known. The frequency is known. The intensity is known. What caused it is not. Nearly 50 years after Jerry Ehman wrote "wow," in red ink, we are still listening. The silence from that patch of sky has been absolute. But the question endures, and as long as the question endures, the search continues.